Hello everyone, welcome back. On this episode of Bitcoin Trade, I'm gonna go into since I talked about Silk Road, I'm gonna go into the darker side of money. Okay, not only Bitcoin, but U.S. dollars or euro or just fiat currency in general before Bitcoin came around. So money laundering is has been going on. All right. And so what I wanted to know was what exactly is money laundering? Because if you think about it, we by engaging in transacting in U.S. dollars engage in money laundering by default. Okay. Example would be well, how can I say this? I'll kind of go over what this is. The I guess legal definition of money laundering, and you could do your own research. I just looked up a website just to get a general broad idea of money laundering because I hear a lot of the government being IRS and everything worried about money laundering. So I kind of wondered what the hell is money laundering? How does money become dirty and then try to make it clean? I mean, do you literally put it in the take it to the laundry and wash it. So let's find out some things and you know this is a great site. It talks about how money laundering works and it's very informative. Um, Not that I'm saying people should learn how to launder money, but I'm saying it's just formative for people who are wondering what the hell is money laundering and what does that have to do with Bitcoin. So, um, from what I could tell, I mean, you can read this. This is kind of like a graph of how they talk about money laundering. Like, let me pull back here a little. So, money laundering. So basically, money laundering, by I guess some definition, is a process of taking a revenue source that has been committed through a crime, and whatever the crime is. It could be campaign contributions, like there was an article about Tom DeLay when he was charged for money laundering for campaign contributions. So it's basically anything that is a violation of the laws in your jurisdiction that you somehow profited from, like you generated money. That would be considered dirty money. And the way you launder it is you take it through, of course, money goes through the bank. And, even criminals, despite they are criminals, will use the legal banking system to launder money, right? So even the crooks and the criminals trust the banking system. So that's how good the banking system is as far as protecting U.S. dollars money, and since most crimes are committed in typically U.S. dollars, transactions are done in U.S. dollars. I mean, um, that's because U.S. dollars is by far the most popular currency by default. Anyways, it talks about how it goes to the bank, then goes some offshore, then goes into some other assets, which, example, you buy something and you sell it, realizing money. What else does this say? Offshore accounting. So basically, you just funnel money through different accounts, making it very difficult to, you know, track where the source came from. And that's the whole point of this thing. I mean, that's what money laundering is. And then let me see what's integration back into a business, U.S. account, a business investment, or uh, nowadays, it's much easier just to do it as a financial investment, and then voila, you cash out and you turn into clean money. So this kind of nice little pictogram chart, but mainly money laundering comes from an act of committing a crime. The profits, the money committing a crime. So in my last episode, I talked about Bitcoin, and if you truly know what Bitcoin is, which I believe most of people out there trading Bitcoin don't even know what Bitcoin is, and you know how it works, you no longer have to commit any crimes because you know that the way Bitcoin works, instead of, for example, like I was saying, um, you got in one hand you got money, and then in the other hand you have Bitcoin. And the way right now, I can see why um, people of Silk Road like Bitcoin, because it's kind of in your face but anonymous. So there's the money. You see it. You go on the blockchain. You see it move around, go all over the place. There it is. Ha. But you can't find me. You can't find me, the real person that's moving this money around. So I can see for some people, it's very amusing to launder money through Bitcoin. So, anyways, um, what I'm trying to say is, okay, you got Bitcoin in one hand, you got money in the other hand, and in the middle, okay, in the middle, you have whatever illegal activity, drugs, guns, assassinations, blah, whatever, anything that's illegal, and the fact that you committed the crime, and you're trying to profit from it by realizing the money in some way, is I guess an act of money laundering. And I guess that's the short and sweet definition of it from what I can tell. So my point is, why in the hell, okay, if you people, the criminals out there, are after money, and using Bitcoin to do it, it's redundant. It's stupid. It's just another step in the chain when you buy whatever, the drugs, the whatever you're doing. Get rid of the crime, throw it away. I mean, just literally just toss it out of the chain. You have money, you have Bitcoin. Between those two, you're going to legally generate money. Does anybody get that? Okay, instead of, money, drugs, Bitcoin, and then trying to turn it back to money again, get rid of the drugs, the crime, okay, just throw that out. Money, Bitcoin, money. Bitcoin, money, Bitcoin. Why buy and sell drugs when you can buy and sell money? Anybody getting that yet? So, this is just kind of like something I hear about, and when I see people committing crimes with Bitcoin, I scratch my head. I just say, why? You don't need to commit crimes when you're trading Bitcoin. You can legally make money. Legally. You don't need drugs anymore. You don't need guns. You don't need prostitution. You don't need what else? What other crimes are there that would typically involve money laundering? That we think of, like crimes. Other example, money laundering is just the act of violating a crime with the use of money. I guess a simple definition, like for example, since it's up here, I think recently Tom DeLay was, I'm not sure if he was acquitted or it was the end of, I don't know. I don't think he ever went to jail. Anyway, this talks about, in 2005, Tom DeLay was indicted for money laundering. Okay, so it doesn't have to be like drugs in general or anything. It just has to be a crime is committed, and the profit from the crime in which you committed, right? And you're trying to realize that money. You can't just realize it because people would know that this money came from a criminal activity, so you try to hide it by sending it out and then realizing it coming back into you. But just like anything else that I talk about in the real world, okay, once you turn this cash into electronic cash, and you send it overseas and you do all this, whatever, you put it into the business, eventually you got to turn it back to real money at some point, right? Or into some form of other electronic cash. But my point is, it leaves a trail. Every crime will always leave the trail, and the trail always leads back to you. So, when we think of cyber crimes, it's very easy to get away with those kind of crimes because you can cover your trail, right? But in the real world, you always leave a trail. Okay? You walk on a dirt path, you leave a trail. It's just by nature that you're always going to leave a trail in the physical world. So there is no perfect crime, unfortunately. So, anyways, the reason I brought this up was to educate maybe some Bitcoin, you know, people who, well, just to give an education and some idea what money laundering is. And you hear it a lot when it comes to Bitcoin. People worried about money laundering, and you know, I hope that this enlightens somebody who is committing acts of crimes with Bitcoin. Eventually, if you're like me, if you're really into Bitcoin, you don't have to commit crimes. You know what it is, you know what Bitcoin is, you know what it does, you know how it works, and you know how to generate wealth from Bitcoin. It's that simple. You don't have to commit crimes anymore. You can be legitimate, out in the open, self-reporting, and hopefully, if there's somebody in the IRS that's listening, if I could spend my Bitcoin as money to purchase things, I like that to be tax-free because that would get me to spend my Bitcoin. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep shoving money into Bitcoin, and we're going to see Bitcoin just go to infinity. I wouldn't mind that either, because at some point I know that I'll be spending my Bitcoin. It's just more incentive for me to spend it now, so I can buy my groceries versus I'll hold out until Bitcoin goes to infinity, and I'll spend like $0.0000001 or $0.00001 Bitcoin to buy my groceries from now on. Either way works for me. So, anyways, let me see some other things here because it really gives you potential criminals out there. If you're trying to launder money, I would not recommend it because you're going to get caught. Let me see what else. Money laundering. I don't know what happened. I must have clicked on something else here. Let me see if I can move back here a little bit. Okay. Just gets into really some good detail, and then, of course, they're also going to talk about the enforcement of anti-money laundering and the effects of money laundering. That's the other thing is, if we're going to make Bitcoin work, Bitcoin has to work on a level playing field where anybody should be able to have the equal opportunity of gaining wealth. So the effects of money laundering, it's almost like cheating. It allows the criminals to profit more than a legitimate business. So money laundering has detrimental effects because you're reinforcing something that you really don't want to enforce. And the nice thing with Bitcoin is, if criminals are engaging in Bitcoin as means of money laundering, although there's no central authority, people who are trading in Bitcoin are the gatekeepers of Bitcoin. So eventually, if you are a criminal and you'll have no way to cash out at the end of the day. There's no point in committing money laundering or acts of crime for Bitcoin because, eventually you need to sell to somebody to cash out. And if you do, you're going to get taxed. You're going to get a toll charge. You're not going to get the price that you want. You're going to get a lower price because that's how people are going to take advantage of people who money launder, who are money launderer or criminals. You're going to get charged a toll for being a criminal to get out of this game, and to realize your money. So there's no point in that. Okay, there's not only there's laws in place, but I believe people who are true believers in Bitcoin and who truly understand Bitcoin know will know how to use Bitcoin to prevent criminals from cashing out. So here's some other things that are here. Fighting money laundering. So anything that's reported in $10,000 in deposits has to be reported. That's why I say use the banking system, because the banking system will protect your money. Last thing you want to do is inadvertently help a criminal launder money. By using the banking system, if somebody comes up to you and say, hey, I have $10,000, I wanna sell or I have $10,000 worth of Bitcoin I want to sell, well, you tell that person, if they have in cash, you tell that person, well, okay, deposit that money to my account in my bank, and I'll gladly give you Bitcoin, because I'm not sure if it's, where it's coming from, but a trade is a trade. I can't judge anybody. So when they deposit that money into that account, they have to fill out a form saying they are the owner and they are depositing this money. And then, criminals don't like doing that. Okay, that's why they don't do that. So there's other things where you can fight money laundering as a Bitcoin trader, because I do buy and sell out in the streets. When I say out in the streets, Main Street, Wall Street, not in the corner, but these are some things that I can do prevent money laundering myself as a Bitcoin trader, because when you become a trader, you're a broker, you're a dealer, you're a market maker. You control the flow, not the banks, but you, the individual, control the flow of Bitcoin. And this is a good way to prevent criminals from profiting from Bitcoin. Is to make it harder for them to cash out with you. Okay, so use the banking systems, because there's laws in place to protect you. So there's all these laws into place. Anyway, so there's some information here on money laundering, and I hope that helps Bitcoin traders, because there might be a chance, and most likely there could be a chance, where you will be approached. Someone will have lots of Bitcoins to sell you, and for some reason they like cash or some alternative method, PayPal or some other third-party payment provider. That's how they usually deal with when laundering money. Remember, money laundering is profiting from a crime and trying to hide the source of where the money came from through the act of whatever crime that was committed. So, but if these criminals were smart, they wouldn't try to launder money. They would invest in an asset class that appreciates in value. I don't know. My opinion. Don't know why people have to commit crimes when you can make money or become wealthy being legitimate. So, anyways, so there's that, and hopefully this helps some people. And hopefully, if you were thinking about committing a crime and laundering money through Bitcoin, I hope this helps you change your mind about it, because that's kind of really an accurate picture. The the government will be waiting for you at the end of this spigot pipe if you think you're going to get away with money laundering. Okay, kind of sounds like Silk Road, right? I mean, and when you do crime in the physical world, you will always leave a trail, and that trail will always lead to you. So don't do it, is my advice to anybody out there. Don't do it, because you can do this legally, and um, make money, become wealthy, instead of committing crimes, and now the money that you made becomes property of the state, the FBI or whatever, the Treasury. So um, either you're going to get taxed by the government, or you're going to get taxed by the Bitcoin traders out there. Um, so hopefully I've convinced criminals out there to stop using Bitcoin as a means of exchange and start using it as a legal, legitimate means of exchange, creating wealth. All right. Stay tuned for the next episode. I appreciate it, and I'll keep making videos here, and hopefully um, you'll get to watch them. You know, and please do watch them, and feel free. Just don't add links to mining sites or exchange sites, but please leave a comment. Any questions, anything you want me to look into or anything. I mean, I am very fascinated by this whole Bitcoin phenomenon. So, and I'm sure if you're watching, you're also fascinated by it. Anyways, bye now.